It's really important that we listen to our customers when they have feedback, but even more importantly, that we listen to how our teams talk about customers when things aren't going well, right? It's not the presentations, it's the real conversations.
Welcome to Connect to Market. I'm Casey Cheshire. Join us as we learn from marketing leaders who are driving founder-led growth. We're sponsored by Ringmaster, building B2B podcasts and communities to reconnect you with your audience. And there it is. Click of a button and we get to start this crazy adventure. I don't know about you guys. I'm excited. I can't wait to introduce our guest today. She's fantastic. I've known her for a long time and she is famous. She's out there. If you're on LinkedIn, you're probably connected to her. If you're a marketer, you probably heard of her, probably seen her speak on stage. She's absolutely inspiring. Sales and marketing leader, a thought leader of thought leaders, an advisor, board member, influential speaker, author, B2B SaaS exec. She's been here a couple decades, and she's been recognized for all of her work. 10 most inspiring women leaders to follow in 2022. And you get to hear from one of them today. This is absolutely amazing. The 10 most impactful women in tech and the top 30 marketing tech experts to watch. Can I say more? She's also the author of Significant Women Leaders Reveal What Matters Most. Angela Earl, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Casey. I think I might be blushing.
Yes, right? Well, you should, and maybe you should not do as much because the next time you come back on here, I'm going to have a double the size, introduction, and I'm going to lose myself in it. So I'm glad you're here.
Keep raising the bar.
Yeah, keep doing it. Yeah. 3 more books next time we chat, no big deal. 3 more boxes of books for you to have in your home too. So here we go. Let's crank this thing off. And we always start the show asking the same question. In order to ask this question, though, I have to put on this giant blue foam finger and then ask you, Angela, what is the number one thing that marketers need to do in order to connect to their market?
I think listen is the easy answer, right? We need to be good listeners inside and outside, but especially when it comes to customer feedback. Put our listening ears on, as we say to the little ones.
Put our listening ears on. Wow. You know what? Sometimes the kindergarten phrases actually are just jam-packed with truth. Talk to me about it though, because I feel like we almost all, and I've been guilty of this so much, especially when I was deep in marketing automation. We know that this should happen, but we don't often end up doing it, And I don't know why.
Yeah. So much is easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
That is life. But I think it's really important that we listen to our customers when they have feedback, but even more importantly, that we listen to how our teams talk about customers when things aren't going well, right? It's not the presentations, it's the real conversations. Do people feel comfortable saying, this isn't landing? Our customers are confused. We might need to rethink this, right? What is the vulnerability gauge inside of the teams at your company? Where does that honesty and openness drop off? And I think then if you have that trust and that transparency internally, it translates almost seamlessly at that point from words to action on how we engage our customers, how we engage our audience. And that really comes down to you and me, right? Leaders need to create space for that honesty before just sort of pressuring and demanding answers from the teams to do, better, faster, adapt.
Create the space for honesty. Honestly, I feel like if we were going to make sound bites from the show, we've already created 3 in the first 15 seconds. So
hashtag quotable moment.
Hashtag quotable moments. Shout out to Christina. You're welcome. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So much to pick apart there. It's the real conversation. Let's start there. What are the real conversations? How do we make conversations real and not the presentations? How do we get there?
First we demonstrate it, right? Yeah. We have to live it ourselves. I think, a non-kindergarten thing, something we learn later in life is tone at the top. But I think it's as true now as it was when I started working. As leaders, is it on us to show up authentically, to show up vulnerably, honestly, to to be that for our teams. And then I think it creates the space for them to do the same.
Got it. Yep. And then in the space for honesty. So in both internally and then with customer conversations, how do you do that? Because I feel like a lot of fake things these days. How you doing?
Okay.
Great. Like, I even got a survey that said, why'd you buy this product? And it was like 4 answers and none of them were why I bought the product. Right. So it's like, how do we create that space?
Yeah, I mean, you see it again in how teams talk about their
Yeah.
customers. I think you hear it in whether the feedback from buyers actually travels through the company, right? When feedback comes in, is it going from marketing to product to sales to customer success or whatever web it needs, path it needs to follow? Does it get filtered along the way or softened, right? Does it get stuck? Does it come in through customer success and have a place to go? How is that getting back to product? How is it getting back to marketing to make change? In strong cultures and strong teams, customer friction, customer feedback, it moves rapidly. You can see it in the speed from receipt to dissemination. And then even more so in how does that impact the company? Does it change the product? Does it change the company's strategy? Does it impact, little tactical things and bigger strategic things? It really comes down to the people.
Yeah. I can totally see customer feedback. As you're describing it in different stages and steps, I'm like, wow, this is just like a funnel, just like a pipeline. It's like, are we getting it in? Are we asking for it? All the initial steps? And okay, it came in. Where did it go? Did it get stuck in this integration sync over here and no one hears about it? Is there tons of feedback and just no one's the wiser? Or did it make it to, it made it to customer service and died there? Like,
I mean, it's data like anything
yeah.
else, right? So how are we stewarding that data? Do we have a place for it to go and then that's a technical problem as much as it is a people problem. Is there a place for that feedback to go? Are we leveraging triggers and automation and AI in a way that allows it to move quickly and be accessed by all the right people?
And I love the idea of it making the rounds to all the departments so that it's not stuck. I wonder, do you have to put some kind of quality check on it? Or are you just like, feedback is feedback and outliers are outliers, but like, just get this information out? What's your take on that?
I mean, I think the packaging of it is important as long as it doesn't change the feedback itself, because as soon as we start rephrasing, we get into the risk of opinions getting added, perspective being added. So I think both capturing it in its raw form, as well as, whomever received it, providing some context or structure around it, both can be really valuable. Not to go super data nerd on everybody, but I think like any data, we can make data tell whatever story we want. It is really about what business question or problem is this answering for us, right? And so customer feedback is much the same. The buyers know how they're using the product better than we, we can make a hypothesis. We can say, hey, we think we're solving this problem, or we think it's going to be used this way. But when you're the person actually clicking the buttons and using the software, you're going to have experiences that are a great feedback loop when they happen.
Yeah, I'm in. Let's make this happen. Like, is there a roadmap or some steps you recommend in terms of like creating this ideal outcome?
I mean, certainly there are steps with everything. I think
Yeah.
there's, a few things that are really important. I don't know if they're linear necessarily. I think going back to that, like how things move across teams, I think a shared understanding of the customer is really important.
Okay.
As a marketing leader, a lot of times the company looks to us to say who the customer is and what they care about. And, product marketing is defining use cases and personas and those sorts of things. But is that understanding shared across the go-to-market function? Is it resonating with sales? Is it who they're talking to? Does it actually work for customer success? Is it matching the people they're actually connecting with on a day-to-day? That's one. I think two, we talked about it, but real customer signals, right? Not polished stories, not the things product marketing is necessarily, but like is there honest talk about the objections and the frictions as it's being received, not after it's been sort of polished up, if you will, for a presentation, a deck, a case study.
Do you have a favorite way to capture those signals?
I mean, we have so much options now with AI, right? I can't remember the name, forgive me, whoever is at that company, but there's actually a company that is this focused on using AI to capture that in real time. There's also tools that have been around for a number of years as far as listening on calls with, CSM teams and AEs as they're engaging with the market. I think just capturing it in a transcript way and getting it into whether that's Salesforce or HubSpot, and then having a mechanism I think is important as capturing it is having a mechanism for reviewing it and discussing it. I've had meetings where the go-to-market teams get together and review it, right? Are you meeting on a monthly basis and saying, here's what we've heard. What do we need to do collectively with this as good as anything? That's where it gets a little more analog, right? Are we talking about it?
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay. So the shared understanding, we've got the real signals you're paying attention for.
Hey, marketing leaders, it's Amanda here from Ringmaster B2B Podcasting. In today's market, B2B buying is built on one thing, trust. And there's no better way to build that trust than through a podcast that builds connection. At Ringmaster, we help you launch and grow shows that will amplify your brand and can help drive real demand. The best part? We handle all the heavy lifting so you can focus on the big picture. So if you've been thinking about starting a podcast for your brand or taking your existing one to the next level, visit ringmaster.com to chat and book a call.
Third, it's how feedback moves through the whole team, right? What sales hears? Does it get back to marketing? Does it get to customer success? What support sees? Is that making its way through the team? And not just shared, but does it get discussed, right? Not trapped in the team and actioned. I mean, we talked earlier about all talk, no action, but it's so important that we make time to actually come together, review it, and decide what to do with it.
Yeah. Like when does it get discussed, right? Because if you don't have a regular tempo for that, it's probably not going to continue to happen.
Not consistently.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to make it a habit. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And put it on one team. I think also, on that, consistent exposure. Are we showing up where the customer is? Are we engaging them, or are we just waiting passively for them to give us feedback?
Right.
Which certainly will happen most often when there's friction, right? Or wow moments, right? If you really knock someone's socks off, they'll usually let somebody know. But are we showing up to hear all of the middle feedback, right?
Right.
Are we hearing how they talk about it, how they're using it? Are we engaging them in the places that they are going to them proactively? And then last, I think we've talked a lot about technology, but I think there's so much out there right now. I heard about a company that's actually creating AI persona lookalikes and able to do market research at scale, which is kind of cool. I think there's both novelty with that, right? How long does it take to run market research surveys and collect all that data? A long time. So if we can quicken that, amazing. But I do think staying close to the humans actually using it can't be replaced. I think at the end of the day, using those new AI-driven approaches to scale and get stuff fast, but then validating it with real people, I think.
Validating it. So use the speed of AI, but then use a human to sort of confirm, like trust but verify kind of thing.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
I mean, you're beyond customer feedback. Trust but verify is a good way to live.
Yeah. Hey, great idea. Let's just confirm that real quick.
Look, AI is amazing, but it's not human, right? At the end of the day,
Right.
We've all been talking with Claude or ChatGPT, and we're like, I don't know,
Yeah.
So
I totally get that. Okay, sweet. So that's 3, I believe, right?
talking about the shared understanding, customer, real customer signal, not polished stories.
Yep.
Moving that feedback through the whole team.
Right.
Making sure that the exposure to reality is consistent, right? That we're showing up where they are. And then leveraging technology to scale and learn fast, but ask but validate.
What do you think people mess up the most of all those strategies?
I think that depends so much on the team. I think it's easy, depending on what our handicaps are. I think if the team culture is really strong and communication moves fast and clearly, great. But I've been doing this for 20 years. So in a couple of decades, silos happen. And as much as we want to say, marketing and sales alignment and all of these catchphrases, I think it's very for data and feedback and input to get stuck. Not even intentionally, right? We're all just moving fast. Most of us have a ton to do every single day. I'm not alone in saying I sit in meetings, back to back, and then the real work starts at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And when you're operating at that level, it's really easy to just sort of like heads down, get it done. So I guess if I had to pick one, I would say silos are one of the most common things that trip me up.
Yeah, I totally can see that, right? Like protected separate kingdoms that people are all interested in. Well, I'm curious now. Obviously, you're teaching everyone a lot of things, the book, all the different, consulting, all the work. Where do you like to learn from? Where do you get your input from?
Yeah, I have an unquenchable appetite for learning. That is true of me. I read a lot. I listen to audiobooks. I usually am listening to, 3 at a time because I'll hear it, I want to think on it, but I'm not done reading, so I'll switch to another book. I also, I'm a sucker for real books and the smell of pages, and so I'll have 1 or 2 that I can take with me to, the waterfront and sit on a bench when it's not -1 degrees outside and read. I listen to a number of podcasts. Usually on the podcast side, they are less marketing and business, to be honest, and more life. And there's a podcast called The Good Life or A Good Life, I think, that I'm really into right now. That's pretty fun. But things that give my brain space to like be creative. One of the things I think that's really important. Learning is great and consuming information is really important. We also have to give our mind space to breathe, right? So a lot of times I've got all these inputs and it's on a walk where I don't have anything in my ears that I'm actually having some of my best ideas.
Yeah, I love to entertain myself too, but you're right. It's when you're not entertaining yourself, you have a chance to come up with those
Yeah.
things.
And of course, everybody else, right? My friends call me, one of the most social people they know, and I suppose the label is correct. Most of my friends do what we do, and just conversations and chatting it up. Some cool stuff comes out of those conversations too.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Dang. Well, my next question, right, based on all these things and the fact that you can school us on this and you are a who's who, all those accolades. Who are you? Who are you? Can you take me back in time to like little Angela? Did you know you're going to be a thought leader, marketing leader, all these things, author, speaker?
Did I know I was going to be all those things? No, absolutely not. I think I had the propensity for it early on, though. My great grandmother used to say, if I were taller, I could live alone, starting at 4 years old. So I have always been, aspiring to do, make an impact on the world. I did not even know I was going to get into marketing. For 10 years, I was a finance executive assistant. I sat on trading floors and alongside CFOs. So this was a second career for me. I saw the impact they were making and decided I wanted to make my own on the business, and marketing fell somewhat naturally. And just, I'm very lucky to have known the people I have known and to have the exposure to the companies I have to learn along the way.
Okay. Wow. Wow. I have a bit of a hypothetical question for you next, if you're ready for this.
I'm sitting down.
Okay. You see, I may or may not have a time machine here in New Hampshire. So you
Okay.
come visit, and it's in the backyard covered in a tarp. So you do a customer visit. It's a little cold right now, but we'll preheat it. Um, So you get to use this time machine and go back in time and meet yourself a couple days after graduation. What kind of things would you say to that, Angela?
Wow. What would I say? I would say be true to yourself. It sounds so cliche, even coming out of my mouth, that I want to roll my eyes at myself. But I think as much as I have learned and grown along the way, I think I have had to learn to be authentic, right? To show up as myself, that's my strongest me is my authentic me, and to be okay taking up space. I'm a woman in tech, right? I'm a gay woman in tech. I am often the minority in the room. And I think being okay with showing up all of that way was something I had to get comfortable with. And I wish it hadn't taken me to my mid-40s.
Take some time to get there. Yeah, I love that, the authentic me. And just, would you, I mean, if younger you was like, how do I do that? Like, how do I get there? How do you skip the couple decades of figuring that out?
I think you have to find your voice. I cannot tell you how many times I remember sitting in meetings and I would have a thought, and the amount of time it took my internal dialogue to get the bravery to say the thought out loud, somebody else said it. And in that moment, it was validating because it was like, oh, okay, other people are thinking this too. But I think it would have started by finding the willingness to just take the risk and say the thing, and know that if you're thinking it, somebody else probably is too, and to be the brave example that they're like, oh, I should have said it sooner, right? It took other people speaking up for me to get the courage to speak up myself.
I can totally picture that. You have this like, yeah, this, and then someone says that and everyone's like, yeah, brilliant idea. And you're like, why was I stuck in that loop? If I had said, I could have said that, Hey,
Yeah.
great. I was on the right track, but also where's my voice?
Exactly.
Now, the fun follow-up question to that is, do you think younger you would listen?
That's a really good question, because as much as I was fiercely independent, I am still sassy. Maybe, right? I would like
Yeah.
to believe she was always trying. I have always been trying to be my best me. So I think if my machine showed up, I'd be curious enough to be like,
Maybe I will listen to this crazy lady.
I would hope she would listen. How about that? We'll be hopeful for little
Yeah.
Angela. I
Yeah.
think she had great mentors that encouraged her in a lot of ways. So
Good. Wow. Angela, thank you so much for coming on here. Where can people get connected with you?
best place is LinkedIn. I'm active on there
Okay.
every day. Connect with me, follow me, send me a message. I think before we talked about being authors and not living in ivory towers, untouchable and unreachable.
Yes.
I try and reply to everybody that responds, even the like spammy sales ones, as long as I can tell it wasn't a robot. I try and get back to everyone.
Got it. Well, yeah, again, I thank you for being on here. I appreciate you coming on. It was great hanging out, chatting beforehand, the pre-show, if you will, and then catching up here. This has been fantastic.
Super fun.
All right. For those listening, if you learned something, and I know you did, I got 2 pages of notes over here, then share this with someone else who is not thinking about their customer feedback as a pipeline, who's not moving it around the departments, getting it around the company. The exposure, the feedback, there's just so much goodness here. So if you like this episode, share it with someone else. With that, Angela, thank you again.
Thanks, Casey.
All right, everyone. This has been a crazy, crazy cool, very exciting episode of the Connect to Market Pod. We will see you all next time. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for joining. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at connecttomarket.com. Connect to Market is sponsored by Ringmaster, creating podcasting communities that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth.